that the producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
And there is no resolution in sight for the Walt Disney Company when it comes to Snow White 2025 at the box office. This is exactly why Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, is in pure panic mode over not just the Rachel Zegler backlash, but the entire backlash surrounding this movie in general, and just how once trusted critics that shilled for the Disney Company all the time, even they are beginning to turn their back against them. That's how bad this movie truly is. Even if you look at the IMDb rating score, that's when you really know how terrible this movie is and how it really hit rock bottom.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
After one hell of a PR tour, Disney's live-action Snow White is finally, I know, you were wondering,
that despite my flaws and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
she's a good actress,
that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Wow. And you have parents looking at Disney being like, what are you doing, guys? Like, this is supposed to be a place where magic happens, and all you're doing is indoctrinating kids, and you're having this person be the poster child of the Democratic Party. Look no further than what Disney is doing with their woke, DEI, feminist agenda.
Tell me if this is attractive to you. Like, does this, imagine you invested into her being the face of the movie, and she's the main character and she's trying to promote the movie. Would this make you want to go watch the movie when she's starring in it and she's the main character?
She destroyed hundreds of millions of dollars worth of IP for Disney, but she also has destroyed her career and the careers of anybody who worked on the movie. The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarves. So we'll guarantee no employment for little people while getting rid of this other component that warranted CGI. It was the worst decision they could possibly make. You could look at the fact that she has been sabotaging this film for years at this point, all in this sort of pursuit of entitlement.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about
she's gonna die.
true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
Disney responded by scaling back the premiere. I don't know that anyone really showed up to the premiere. The Rotten Tomatoes reviews are looking pretty bad, and they did, it seems like they tried to tweak a few things, but this movie is bad.
What happens when one of the most iconic fairy tales in history becomes the center of controversy? That's exactly what happened when Disney released its latest take on Snow White. Instead of enchanting audiences and reigniting the magic of this timeless story, the film ended up dividing fans and sparking heated debates worldwide. Critics and viewers alike were left outraged, not just because of creative choices that strayed too far from the original, but also due to a series of missteps both on-screen and off. From casting decisions to significant changes in the storyline, every aspect seemed to fuel the fire of discontent. And now, the studio is scrambling to fix what many are calling its biggest misstep in years, a project that was supposed to be a celebration of Disney's legacy, but instead became a cautionary tale about losing touch with your audience. Today, we're diving deep into the drama behind Disney's failed Snow White remake, unpacking the controversies, the mistakes, and the lessons learned along the way. We'll also explore why the studio has already announced plans for a reboot, signaling their determination to right the wrongs and restore the magic that once made this fairy tale so beloved. It all started with good intentions, or so Disney thought. The studio pitched this version as a bold, modern feminist twist on the 1937 classic, aiming to breathe new life into one of its most iconic properties. They reimagined Snow White not as a passive damsel waiting for rescue, but as a strong, independent leader dreaming of empowerment and self-determination rather than relying on true love to save her. On paper, it sounded inspiring, a fresh take designed to resonate with contemporary audiences who value female agency and equality. But here's the catch. Fans didn't see it that way. When early trailers and plot details emerged, revealing drastic departures from the cherished source material, backlash began to mount almost instantly. Take, for instance, the charming prince, a character deeply embedded in the cultural fabric of the original story. He wasn't just sidelined, he was completely written out of the narrative altogether. For many longtime Disney enthusiasts, this felt like erasing a cornerstone of the tale. It wasn't just about nostalgia, it was about staying true to what made Snow White magical in the first place. And if that wasn't enough to ignite controversy, enter Rachel Zegler, the talented yet polarizing star of the film. During interviews promoting the movie, Zegler made headlines when she openly referred to Snow White's romance with the prince as awkward and seemingly unnecessary, further alienating viewers who held the original storyline dear. Her comments quickly went viral, sparking heated debates across social media platforms. Hashtags like #NotMySnowWhite and #DisneyRuinedTheClassics began trending worldwide, flooding timelines with memes, angry rants, and petitions demanding more respect for the animated masterpiece. Before long, Disney found itself at the center of a full-blown PR nightmare, one that would prove difficult to recover from. So, where did it all go wrong? Early test screenings showed lukewarm responses, but the real disaster unfolded after the trailer dropped. Nostalgic fans united in frustration over the changes, calling the adaptation disrespectful to the original. The backlash wasn't limited to just the film itself. Oh no, it spilled over into every aspect of the project. Then came the merchandise flop. Toys and apparel tied to the film underperformed massively, leaving retailers slashing prices just weeks after release. Entire shelves of Snow White dolls, costumes, and themed accessories were left unsold, a glaring indication that audiences had already checked out before the movie even hit theaters. Analysts pointed out that Disney's consumer products division took a massive financial hit, with millions in unsold inventory piling up in warehouses, a situation that only added insult to injury for the struggling studio. But the problems didn't stop there. Leaked internal documents revealed another layer of chaos behind the scenes. Sharp disagreements between Disney's marketing, creative, and PR departments created a mess of inconsistent messaging. One team was promoting the film as a bold, empowering feminist reimagining, while another leaned heavily into nostalgia, touting it as a loving tribute to the 1937 classic. These conflicting strategies confused audiences and diluted the film's identity. Fans didn't know what to expect. Was this a modernized tale of female empowerment or a heartfelt homage to the animated masterpiece they grew up with? It was clear nobody at Disney seemed to have a unified vision. Executives scrambled to course-correct during the promotional campaign, but by then, the damage was done. Critics and viewers alike saw through the cracks, and trust in Disney's ability to handle such an iconic property began to erode. It was a perfect storm of poor planning, miscommunication, and audience alienation, and everyone could feel the ripple effects. Behind the scenes, things got even uglier, revealing a tangled web of missteps that alienated both audiences and industry insiders. Sources close to the production have claimed that the studio placed a heavy emphasis on so-called woke agendas, seemingly at the expense of honoring the timeless elements that made the original Snow White a cultural touchstone. One of the most glaring examples was the decision to replace the Seven Dwarfs, beloved characters who had been central to the story for nearly a century, with CGI versions. This move not only stripped away the charm and humanity of these iconic figures, but also sparked widespread outrage over the lack of employment opportunities for actors with dwarfism. Critics were quick to point out the irony. A film supposedly committed to diversity and inclusion had effectively erased actual little people from the narrative entirely. Many argued that this choice contradicted the very principles Disney claimed to champion, leaving fans feeling betrayed and further eroding trust in the studio's creative decisions. Adding fuel to the fire were Rachel Zegler's polarizing media appearances, which became a focal point of criticism. Her comments about the prince's role being awkward struck a nerve with nostalgic viewers who cherished the romantic arc as an integral part of the story. While some interpreted her remarks as harmless or even progressive, others saw them as dismissive of the original film's legacy and the emotional connection generations of fans felt toward it. Social media amplified these grievances, turning every offhand comment into a flashpoint for debate. The backlash grew louder with each interview, overshadowing any positive aspects of the film itself. By the time the premiere rolled around, public interest had dwindled to a fraction of what Disney had hoped for. It wasn't just indifference, it was outright rejection. Even Rotten Tomatoes scores confirmed what everyone already knew: this movie was bad. With critics panning everything from its muddled messaging to its lackluster execution, Snow White became a cautionary tale of how prioritizing trends over tradition can lead to disastrous results. But here's the twist: Disney isn't giving up. In a surprising move that has sparked both curiosity and cautious optimism, the studio has officially announced plans to reboot Snow White yet again. This time, however, they're taking a radically different approach, one that aims to return to the emotional core and timeless magic of the original 1937 animated classic. Imagine vibrant forest animals frolicking alongside Snow White, catchy musical numbers that tug at your heartstrings, and yes, the beloved dwarfs, all restored with meticulous care and attention to detail. According to insiders familiar with the project, the new adaptation will stay remarkably faithful to the original story, preserving its most cherished moments while making room for subtle updates to resonate with modern audiences. To ensure authenticity, Disney is reportedly bringing in legacy animators and creative consultants who worked during the studio's golden era of storytelling, including veterans from films like The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. These individuals are tasked with infusing the project with the same charm, whimsy, and emotional depth that made Disney's earlier works so iconic. The goal? To create a film that feels like a natural evolution of the original, rather than a complete reinvention. This marks a significant departure from the previous attempt, which alienated fans by straying too far from the source material. Could this be the redemption arc Disney desperately needs? With the stakes higher than ever, the studio seems determined to prove that it hasn't lost its touch, that it can still deliver the kind of enchanting, universally beloved fairy tale that first captured hearts nearly a century ago. This time, Disney is pulling out all the stops to ensure that every aspect of the reboot aligns seamlessly with the studio's storied legacy. Tighter oversight has been implemented across the board, ensuring fewer misalignments between departments, a critical issue that plagued the previous attempt. According to insiders, senior executives are now directly involved in weekly progress meetings, fostering collaboration among writers, directors, producers, and marketers to avoid conflicting messages or creative decisions. Additionally, media training protocols have been overhauled to prevent off-screen controversies from overshadowing the film. Cast members and key personnel will undergo rigorous preparation to navigate interviews and public appearances thoughtfully, emphasizing respect for both the original material and modern sensibilities. At the heart of this reboot is a dream team consisting of an acclaimed screenwriter and visionary director, both known for their ability to balance sentimentality with universal appeal. Their track record includes crafting emotionally resonant stories that captivate audiences of all ages, making them ideal candidates to breathe new life into Snow White's timeless tale. They've been tasked not only with bringing heart and depth to the story, but also with honoring the core themes of hope, kindness, and resilience that made the original so beloved. Music, as always, will play a central role in the reboot, serving as the emotional backbone of the narrative. Restored classics like Someday My Prince Will Come and Whistle While You Work will feature prominently, albeit with subtle updates to suit contemporary tastes. Alongside these cherished melodies, fresh compositions are being crafted to complement the soundtrack while introducing new layers of emotion and excitement. Every single detail, from costumes to lighting design, is being meticulously reviewed and refined to align with Disney's long-standing values of excellence and enchantment. Costume designers are reportedly drawing inspiration from the elegant silhouettes of classic Hollywood while incorporating practical elements for action sequences. Meanwhile, the art department is working tirelessly to create lush, immersive environments that evoke the whimsical charm of the original animated film. Even the smallest visual elements, such as color palettes and set textures, are being carefully curated to evoke nostalgia while feeling fresh and vibrant. Behind the scenes, animators and visual effects artists are collaborating closely to strike the perfect balance between hand-drawn animation techniques and cutting-edge CGI technology, ensuring that the film feels authentic yet visually stunning. Disney understands that this reboot represents more than just another entry in their catalog. It's an opportunity to reaffirm their status as the undisputed masters of fairy tales. By investing heavily in quality control and creative cohesion, the studio aims to deliver a film that doesn't just entertain but also reignites the magic that has defined their brand for nearly a century. With such meticulous attention to detail and a renewed commitment to storytelling excellence, there's cautious optimism that this iteration of Snow White could finally restore the enchantment fans have been longing for. Casting rumors are already swirling, with sources suggesting Disney is looking for an actress who embodies classic Hollywood elegance. Think charm, relatability, and vocal talent, the complete package. Unlike Rachel Zegler's divisive presence, this new lead will reportedly undergo strict media training to stay on message, ensuring that every interview, appearance, or statement aligns perfectly with the film's themes and tone. Insiders close to the project claim the studio has learned from its past mistakes, particularly how off-screen controversies can overshadow even the most well-intentioned releases. As a result, they're prioritizing not only raw acting ability, but also professionalism and public image. The ideal candidate would need to resonate with both nostalgic audiences who grew up loving the original Snow White and younger viewers who crave modern storytelling. While specific details remain under wraps, industry insiders speculate that Disney is leaning towards someone who exudes timeless appeal without being overly tied to polarizing political or social stances. One thing is clear: Disney wants to distance itself from the past controversies and focus solely on delivering a magical experience, one that feels authentic, heartfelt, and free of the baggage that plagued their previous attempt. This reboot represents more than just another retelling. It's a chance to remind the world why Snow White became an icon in the first place, and casting the right actress is key to unlocking that potential. Unsurprisingly, reactions to the reboot announcement have been mixed, reflecting the deep divide between nostalgia-driven fans and those open to Disney's modern experimentation. Some viewers remain deeply skeptical, questioning whether Disney can truly recapture the timeless magic that made Snow White a cultural cornerstone nearly a century ago. For many, the original film represents more than just a fairy tale. It's a piece of cinematic history, filled with enchanting melodies, iconic characters, and groundbreaking animation that set the standard for generations. These fans worry that another attempt to reimagine such a beloved classic might result in further missteps, especially after the backlash surrounding the previous adaptation. On the other hand, there are audiences who are cautiously optimistic about the reboot. While they acknowledge the mistakes of the last version, they're willing to give Disney another chance, if the studio gets it right this time. One fan on social media perfectly encapsulated this sentiment, writing, "I just want the magic back. Give me the songs, the romance, the animation style. I'll be there on opening night if they do it right this time." This statement resonates with countless others who long for a return to the heartfelt storytelling and visual splendor that defined Disney's golden age. It's clear that what fans crave most is authenticity, a film that honors the spirit of the original while still feeling relevant today. To build anticipation and win back public trust, Disney is reportedly planning an ambitious promotional campaign leading up to the film's release. The rollout will include exclusive teaser art showcasing the film's lush, storybook-inspired visuals, as well as early previews of the soundtrack featuring both restored classics and new compositions. Behind-the-scenes documentaries are also in the works, offering fans a glimpse into the creative process and highlighting the involvement of legacy animators and consultants. In addition, Disney parks will play a pivotal role in reigniting excitement for Snow White. Imagineers are already hard at work reintroducing Snow White themes across various attractions, from parades and live shows to limited edition merchandise and themed dining experiences. By immersing guests in the world of Snow White well before the movie hits theaters, Disney hopes to create a sense of wonder and connection that extends far beyond the screen. Despite these efforts, however, doubts linger. Can Disney strike the delicate balance between honoring tradition and embracing innovation? Will this reboot mark a triumphant return to form, or will it fall victim to the same pitfalls as its predecessor? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The pressure is on for Disney to deliver a film that not only satisfies longtime fans, but also captivates a new generation of dreamers. Will this reboot succeed where the last one failed? Or will it become another chapter in Disney's ongoing struggle to adapt to changing times? At its core, this isn't just about remaking a movie. It's about restoring trust, reigniting nostalgia, and proving that Disney can still deliver the magic it once promised. The challenge is monumental. Can Disney remind the world why Snow White was the film that started it all? Can they recapture the enchantment of hand-drawn animation, the charm of timeless musical numbers, and the emotional resonance that made audiences fall in love with fairy tales in the first place? Fans are divided. Some remain skeptical, their faith shaken by recent missteps, while others are cautiously hopeful, yearning for the days when Disney reigned supreme as the king of storytelling. As the studio gears up for pre-production in late 2025, every decision, from casting to creative direction, is being scrutinized under a microscope. Executives know this isn't just about fixing a single film. It's about repairing decades of goodwill and proving that Disney can evolve without losing its soul. One thing is certain, the stakes couldn't be higher. With millions in potential revenue, the legacy of the Disney brand, and the hearts of fans on the line, failure is not an option. So tell us, do you believe in fairy tales, or has Disney lost its touch forever? Will this reboot mark a triumphant return to form, or is it too little? Too late? Only time will tell, but one thing is clear. The world will be watching.